Hello student, how are you today? Are you good? Thank goodness if you're good, because I'm good. So, before we start our lesson, let's pray together first. The praying begins. Okay, it's done. So, today's material we're going to talk about the formal invitation. And here's the table of content. First, we are going to talk about kompetensi dasar, and then tujuan pembelajaran, definition and type, purpose, generic structure and language feature, and then example and exercise. Before I will tell you about the material, I will explain about kompetensi dasar. So, first, 3.3, membedakan fungsi sosial, struktur teks, dan unsur kebahasaan. Beberapa teks khusus dalam bentuk undangan resmi dengan memberi dan meminta informasi terkait kegiatan sekolah atau tempat kerja sesuai dengan konteks penggunanya. 4.3, teks undangan resmi. 4.3.1, menangkap makna secara kontekstual terkait fungsi sosial, struktur teks, dan unsur kebahasaan teks, khusus dalam bentuk undangan resmi lisan dan tulis terkait kegiatan sekolah atau tempat kerja. 4.3.2, menyusun teks khusus dalam bentuk undangan resmi lisan dan tulis terkait kegiatan sekolah atau tempat kerja dengan memperhatikan fungsi sosial, struktur teks, dan unsur kebahasaan secara benar dan sesuai konteks. Next. Tujuan pembelajaran. Menemukan perbedaan dan persamaan dari beberapa undangan resmi untuk beberapa acara yang berbeda, mengidentifikasi dan menyebutkan bagian-bagian dari undangan dengan ucapan dan tekanan yang benar, memahami struktur teks undangan resmi. Memahami unsur kebahasaan dari undangan resmi, membuat undangan resmi terkait kegiatan sekolah, menampilkan undangan dengan menempelkan di dinding kelas, dan bertanya jawab dengan pembaca, seperti siswa lain atau guru yang datang membacanya. And okay, that's all for the kompetensi dasar dan tujuan pembelajaran. Now, before we talk about the material, I want to ask you something. Do you know what is this picture? Or who is the guy in this picture? You know, it's Sule Sutisna. So what is he doing in here? Nah, he is holding a wedding celebration. So, what do you think before Sule Sutisna start his wedding ceremony? Yes, he is sending an invitation to his guests. So, what kind of invitation? Well, we can call it formal invitation. So, here's the definition of formal invitation. Formal invitation is an invitation that calls for formal dress, like wedding or graduation. Address, dates, and times are typically spelled out. But formal invitation should use third person, like they or their, rather than first person, like I, we, my, or our. And also, it includes the host's name, the host's full name. And the formal invitation usually indicated by the abbreviation RSVP at the bottom of the invitation. So, but what is the RSVP mean? RSVP means please respond. It's a term for friends. So next, here is the type of invitation. Formal invitation letter is an invitation letter made in an official context. Invitation letter of this type has a standard format, should be used when making a formal invitation letter. So for example, like I said before, it's a wedding or graduation, and so on. And for the informal invitation, it's an invitation letter that is used in an informal context. Sometimes this invitation letter is only delivered by a short message or a short memo to the recipient. Like for example, Halloween party or Thanksgiving party, or a dinner party, and so on. Next, here is the comparison between formal invitation and informal invitation. So here is the formal invitation and is the informal invitation. The formal invitation is about someone's wedding, and for the informal invitation is about Halloween party. Do you guys understand the difference? See, at the bottom of the formal invitation, there is RSVP. So it means that the guest needs to respond to the host. Next. Now, here's the response card. So when the invitation has RSVP, we need to return the response card. Response card is usually included in the invitation, and the invited person should return it to the inviter to confirm. Next, how to respond the formal invitation. Formal invitation should be responded to within 3 days. Replies have to be handwritten, and reason should be briefly stated for declining the invitation. And now I will tell you how to accepting or declining the invitation. Here, how to accept. Mr. and Mrs. Jokowi accept with pleasure the kind invitation of Mr. and Mrs. Anantio, the wedding ceremony of their daughter on Friday, the 12th of December at 7 o'clock. Or, Mr. and Mrs. Yusuf Kala accept the invitation with pleasure. And for declining, Mr. Prabowo regret that they are unable to accept the kind invitation of Mr. and Mrs. Anantio for Friday, the 12th of December at 7 o'clock due to prior engagement. And Mr. and Mrs. Hatta regret to decline the invitation due to health reasons. Here's the purpose of formal invitation. The communicative purpose of invitation is to invite someone to go or to do something, or ask someone to participate to a particular formal event or activity. So, jadi tujuan dari formal invitation itu adalah untuk mengajak seseorang atau lebih untuk ikut ke suatu acara atau pergi ke suatu tempat dan melakukan sesuatu tapi secara formal. Dan acaranya itu adalah acara formal. It is the generic structure of invitation. The sentence, phrase, or paragraph arrangement of an invitation is usually called a generic structure or schematic structure. Jadi, seperti kalimat, frasa, atau urutan paragraf di surat undangan itu biasanya disebut dengan generic structure atau schematic structure. Next, the generic structure. Here is the generic structure of formal invitation. First, we have invitee. What is invitee? Well, invitee is someone who is invited to the event. And for the body invitation, there are occasion, date, and time, place. Occasion is like, what is the purpose of making this invitation? Like, what for? What is this invitation for? And day and date, the day and date of the event. So you can write it day first or date first or month. It's fine. And for the time, the set time for the event. Place, the place that has been provided for invited guests. But it must be specific when you write the place. Next. So before we making formal invitation, we have to know something about it. We can just make it like as we want or something. We can just like that. So here the important point is in making formal invitation. We need to use a polite writing, use sentences that have the meaning of inviting well and politely, write clearly the main information of the invitation, use clear language between formal invitation and informal invitation. Use a concluding sentences that means a sincere request. Use a signature at the end of the invitation. Or maybe you can add your contact information. Next, language feature. There are several linguistic characteristics that are commonly used in invitation letter. First, use several phrases. For example, request the presence of, or we would like to invite you, or I would like to join you to, and etc. Use basic vocabulary like invite, join, request, and etc. Using simple present tense to describe what is the event, and for using simple future tense, it's about how the event will be held, and also represent that the guests will be attending the event. Cordial inviting, like for example, we would like to invite you, and etc. Showing expectation of their presence, like it would be grateful if you would come to blah blah blah. Any condition and detailed information are spelled out, like day and date, dress code, contact information, and etc. Next. Here is the example of formal invitation. Here is the first invitee to Mr. and Mrs. Michael Cole, and then inviter. Please join us as we, Alexandra Liam and Jacob Armstrong. And the last body of invitation. I will give you some time to read the invitation. You done? Okay, good. Let's move to the next example. Here's another one for the formal invitation. I will give you some time again to read. Okay. Now, here's for the exercise. Please read the formal invitation first, then answer the question. Okay, I think that's enough. And for number 1, the type of the party is A, birthday party, B, graduation party, or C, marriage party, D, New Year party, or E, ceremonial new house party. So what do you think about the answer? Do you know what the answer? Want to answer? Yes, that's right. It's about marriage party. And now for number 2, the purpose of the invitation text above is A, to tell a good relationship, B, to describe a certain party, C, to persuade people to have marriage, D, to invite people to join the party, or E, to share the happiness. So, please answer the question. Yep, that's right. It's to invite people to the party. Okay, next. I will give you some time again to read first. Okay, So number 1, what is the purpose of the invitation text? Do you know the answer? A, to make a new relation. B, to spend time together. C, to have conversation with old friend. Or D, to reunite with old friend. Or E, to celebrate the New Year's Eve. Do you know the answer? Yes, it's E, to celebrate the New Year's Eve. Now for number 2, what is from invitation text above? We can say that A, Bianca and Hannah have not good relationship. B, Bianca Judy invites Hannah to celebrate New Year's Eve together. Or C, the Dragonfly bar is not at Jalan Gatot Subroto. D, the party started from 9 p.m. Or E, the party ended at midnight. So what is the answer? Yep, that's right, it's D, the party started from 9 p.m. So from the lesson today, do you know what can we learn from today? So what is formal invitation, or what is the generic structure? Do you know about it? Well, let me explain to you once again. So, formal invitation is an invitation letter that calls for formal dress like wedding, graduation, and etc. A formal invitation should use third person like they or their, and rather than first person like I, we, they, I, we, they, or my, or. And formal invitation should add the RSVP at the bottom of invitation. That is the definition of formal invitation. Do you understand? And for the generic structure, how many generic structure that have in the formal invitation? 2, 3, 4, or how much? How many? Well, the answer is there are 3 generic structure in formal invitation. First, there is invitee. What is invitee? Invitee is someone who is being invited to the event. And for the second, it's body of invitation. The body of invitation contains occasion, day and date, place, and time. So I will explain again what is the occasion. So occasion is like what is the event meant for. And for the day and date, you can place either date first or day first. And for the time, you can set the time of the event. And for the place, you need to write it specifically. And for the last, there is inviter. Inviter is who is the host of the event or who owns the event. Do you got it? Okay, if you got it. So I think that's all for today. If you have any question, you may play this video again. So thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.